and welcome to another Top 5 board gaming video. Today I'm going to focus on a specific mechanic that numerous games tend to use, and that is the sort of king of the hill type of mechanic, where you have multiple players vying for control of a specific area, a specific item, things along those lines. And throughout the game it constantly switches hands, points get moved around, abilities are swapped, all sorts of crazy stuff like that. It can tend to involve a lot of negotiation with who you're going to help, who you're not going to help, who you're going to allow to stay around there, who you're going to go and attack and try to take all their stuff, all of those kinds of things. It's a lot of fun, it can create a great dynamic at the table, and overall are some very, very wonderful games. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started with a couple of honorable mentions. My first honorable mention is a game that I have had for a very, very long time, but unfortunately haven't really talked about too much. The game itself is Illuminati. Now, Illuminati is not a game that you really think of when you think of King of the Hill, area control, that kind of thing. And that's partially why it's just a honorable mention rather than on the main list. The thing with Illuminati is that you end up controlling cards that give you special abilities. They essentially give you power, they give you income, and depending on what character you're playing or what Illuminati you're playing as, they might be helping you win the game. They might be helping you towards your objectives. But the thing is that throughout the game, those can be attacked by other players and either neutralized, that is to say they get put back in the center of the table where anybody can try to get them, or they can actually physically be taken and added to another person. So in that sense, you do certainly have a good deal of shuffling around, or you can, depending on if you get really, really big, really, really fast, then other people are going to start to gang up on you and try to break down some of your bigger trees. It can have a huge, devastating effect on whatever it is that you're trying to build, especially if you've got some of the larger cards like OPEC and the CIA and things like that. Very, very powerful cards that give you a lot of money, so you can have a lot of problems. But overall, while not strictly in the sense of King of the Hill and area control, you do have card control and you have movement of those cards and the control of them, so it's still a lot of fun regardless. I love the game itself. Illuminati, my first honorable mention. My second honorable mention is a game that I really would never, ever, ever leave off of a list like this, simply because we're talking about King of the Hill. And how could you have a King of the Hill video without King of Tokyo? King of Tokyo is a game where you are playing as monsters attacking Tokyo. And the idea is that you can have one person in Tokyo itself earning points and basically destroying all the other monsters who are trying to hit them. The problem is, if you are in Tokyo, if you are that one person who is the, quote, King of the Hill at the time, then everybody is attacking you directly. So you sort of have to press your luck and try to think, okay, am I really going to be able to do this? How much longer can I stay? All that kind of stuff. The problem that I have with this game in terms of the King of the Hill area control type of setting is that there is only one thing that you can take over unless you have a whole bunch of players, then you've got two. But either way, there's a very small number of things that you can take over, so it's just a lot of fighting over one thing. Whereas with most of the other games I'm going to be talking about, it's sort of a free-for-all where everybody's going after a relatively large number of things, and the idea is controlling multiples at the same time, and that's how you really get the points. But either way, King of Tokyo still, at its core, is completely based on the idea of King of the Hill and area control. So that is why, at the very least, King of Tokyo is my second honorable mention. Starting Starting off our list with number 5 is a game that I recently got about ancient Egypt. The game itself is Kemet. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, but either way, the idea is that you are playing in ancient Egypt and vying for control of pyramids and essentially going out and attacking all of your friends, well, quote friends, who will soon no longer be your friends. But the biggest portion as far as area control in this game is with the pyramids themselves. You can actually take over your opponent's pyramid, and in doing so, you take over any upgrades and abilities that they have unlocked for their specific pyramid. It can be an enormous game changer, especially later on in the game, because you can focus on fighting and attacking and sort of ignore your pyramid while your opponents are focusing more on being really defensive, like Turtle, and then they're upgrading their pyramid over and over, and then eventually when you finally break down their defenses and go after their pyramid, you can take it over and it shoots you into the lead almost immediately. Either way, it's a great deal of fun. It is a wonderfully designed game with a theme that I personally really enjoy. I love mythology, and Egyptian mythology is one of my top 3. It's a lot of fun. Great game, great idea behind the area control, land control, or in this case pyramid control, and thus abilities and powers of the players individually. So overall, that is why Kemet, or Kemet, I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, is my number 5. At number 4, I have a game that is almost reminiscent of Kemet, in the sense that you are talking about ancient times. But in this case, we're actually transported to modern times, and we are digging up all of the ancient stuff. The game itself is Tikal. This is a wonderful game from Rio Grande that came out a really long time ago, and I think it actually got the Spiel des Jahres, back in 1999. But this is a really fun excavation game. The idea is that you are all going to a bunch of different pyramids, the Mayan pyramids specifically, and you are digging up all the ruins trying to find treasure and all this kind of stuff. The thing is that they do give you victory points, and the idea is that throughout the game you can sort of keep digging and digging and digging, and you get more and more stuff, but eventually your opponents can take over the pyramids. Very similarly to Kemet, but in this case, again, this is modern times. It's an archaeological dig rather than an ancient Egyptian battleground or an ancient Mayan battleground in this case. Either way, it's a ton of fun, and it does greatly involve controlling the archaeological digs so that you can keep on stacking and stacking points while at the same time trying to push back your opponents, and essentially by keeping more and more people on your own things. So it's a delicate balance between trying to protect your biggest point givers while at the same time trying to branch out just a little bit, just enough so that you can try to take over theirs. Either way, tons of area control. It's a core mechanic for this game. Lots and lots of fun. Tikal, my number 4. At number 3, I have what is by far the physically largest game that I have in my personal collection. I recently got it because it is a game that I really enjoy. It's a ton of fun, and it combines a great deal of mechanics that I really enjoy playing with. The game itself is Twilight Imperium. Yes, the big giant behemoth of a game that includes tons and tons of tiny little plastic miniatures that you use to go and send out to try to destroy all of your best friends. It's a huge game, and I have talked about it several times, mostly just in the context of this game is really long. because it tends to take 6 or 7 hours to play. But for the purposes of this video, one of the core mechanics for this game is to take over and maintain control of different systems. Because when you get different systems, you start to get resources, you can build up technologies, you can do all these things, and on top of that, you can actually create staging points for your military. If you manage to get the wormholes, then you can easily traverse the entirety of the map. Well, the galaxy, solar system, I don't know exactly what they call it for this, it's been a while. But either way, it allows you to work much, much more efficiently, and it allows you to frankly just do more. This is one where actually acquiring the planets in and of itself is not a win condition, but if you don't have any planets, then you're not going to get resources, you're not going to be able to build up ships, you're not going to be able to build up your empire, you're not going to have any influence over the politics aspects, you're going to be dead in the water essentially. You have to have control of these planets, and by proxy, by doing so, you have to maintain that control. Very, very important, really great land grabbing aspect. It would have been higher on my list if it was more of a core mechanic to this game, but as you know, if any of you have played Twilight Imperium, you know it takes so many mechanics that work so well together, surprisingly, at least with the way that this game did it, and just combining them all together actually really functions very, very well. And it makes this game a great deal of fun, albeit very, very long as well. It is, in part, at its core, a land grab, king of the hill type mechanic. And in that is why Twilight Imperium is my number 3. At number 2, I have a game that is virtually the definition of land control in a small area. In case that doesn't give it away, the game is Small World. You can see just by the box art that the entire point of this game is that you have to control a small area that everybody else is trying to vibe for. You can see there's the little dude just standing on the tiny piece of land and everybody else is about to fall off. That is literally the entire point of this video. Now, you may be wondering, why is this only number 2? Well, the biggest reason that this is number 2 and not number 1 is because the land control itself is a means to an end. You want to have control of the land because that gives you the points towards victory, which is obviously great, and you need to have victory points in order to win. But at the same time, there are so many sneaky, weird little things that you can do to either put down more people, to sort of resurrect your formerly dead race, whatever it happened to be. All sorts of crazy kookiness like that. Either way, it is a wonderful game. Oh, excuse me. It is a ton of fun, wonderful, wonderful, and essentially the epitome of what this video is designed to be, where you are vying for control of a small area with more people than it can actually sustain. Lots and lots of fun. Know when to keep on with your race and know when to get rid of your race. Small World, my number 2. At number 1, I have another massive game similar to Twilight Imperium that involves a ridiculous amount of strategy to not only just simply play, but also to win. And I'm sure that you're wondering, after a game like Small World, where the entire point is a sort of king of the hill land control mechanic, what could possibly be at my number 1? Well, it is diplomacy. Now, why is it that diplomacy is at my number 1? Well, the very simple point is the entire condition to win diplomacy is you have to control areas. You have to have control of, I believe it's half the map, essentially. I think it's 6, 7, or 8 areas total. I don't remember exactly. It's been a while since I really got into it. But that is the win condition for this game, is that you have to control the areas. That is the entire point. Now, the idea of the actual diplomacy, where you have the secret deals, you have the open deals, you have the open alliances, you have the secret alliances, you have the backstabbing, etc., all of that kind of stuff. In the end, it is very important to have all of those mechanics, and it is very important to negotiate with your fellow players, but at the end of the day, literally at the end of the day, because that's how long this game takes to play, it comes down to who controls the land. If you control enough, you win, and that's it. Or collectively, amongst however many allies you wish to have, if you all control enough, then all of you win. It is a great game that is at its very, very core solely designed as a negotiation first, and then win condition, king of the hill, land control, area control, whatever you want to call it. Essentially the very essence of this video, where you need to control in order to win, and that's it. Small world, you do need to control in order to get victory points, but it is certainly possible to come back, because you're always resurrected. But either way, great game, tons of fun, very, very long time to play, but the very epitome of what this video is. If you control enough, then you win. And that's it. Diplomacy, my #1 game for area, land control, king of the hill, whatever you want to call it. So that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching my video of my top 5 favorite games that heavily involve area control, King of the Hill type of gameplay. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you have any games that fit this particular category, if you completely agree, completely disagree, partially in either direction, whatever it happens to be, please feel free to put any and all thoughts into the comments below. And with that, thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time. I hope that you enjoyed my video on King of the Hill and area control games. Once again, like I said, if you have your own personal favorites, please feel free to put them in the comments below. I love to get more suggestions for new games, games I haven't tried, I need to play, all of that kind of stuff. In addition, if you want to see more of my videos, you can see a few of them linked up at the top of the page. And if you want to see more from me in the future, including more board games as well as video games and science, then please feel free to click that big giant subscribe button. And with that, thank you very much again, and I will see you next time.